Okay, and I guess we will talk loud. We will project very much.
I don't have a problem talking loud.
Okay, good. All right, that's a good
That's
thing.
what I've been told. So.
Okay, and I like that we were talking before I hit record about what are our verbal crutches, what are the things we're watching out for. So I am going to try my best to not say although I know I will say and I almost said it right there, and I'm going to try not to say right at the end of everything.
Okay, see, I just said okay. Mine's okay.
Okay.
K.
Okay.
Hopefully I can't say, don't say K when I'm explaining something. K?
Right, but I worry at times though it will throw off the content if I'm so focused on not saying or not saying right.
Yeah.
So forgive some ums and rights, right?
Right.
There we go.
Forgive some Ks.
Okay, that was the appropriate
just
use.
Just nod and let me just keep talking.
Exactly. Okay. My guest is now a return guest on the virtual couch. And another plug to go watch. Did we hit record? We did not hit record on the video.
My goodness,
we're going with it.
Gold.
It was gold. We're still going with it.
We're still going with it.
Yeah, what I'll do. Okay, so that was live. I'm not going to record. I'm not going to edit. That's the word. It was gold. We're still going with it.
We're still going with it.
Yeah, what I'll do. Okay, so that was live. I'm not going to record. Or I'm not going to edit. That's the word.
Okay.
There you did it.
I did it.
But I'll put the audio file on there first, and it'll have a very cool picture of us. Is what it will do. But go watch the YouTube video because I forget where I was even going with that. I just looked up and I had not hit record on the video. That but so
I think we did that last time.
Do we? Oh, yeah. We had to start over.
Yeah.
So it means that it's going to be
a
good
vibe
day.
With you.
So my guest is two-time virtual couch guest Elisabeth Mortensen, aka Eat Squat Mom. Welcome back to the virtual couch.
Thank you for having me.
That's where I was going. That's where my train of thought was.
Yeah.
I was going to say we're literally sitting on a couch, and I don't think I've done this before, which doesn't make sense because this is what I do all day. People sitting on the couch. It's nice to be on this side.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to kind of maybe at the end go sit in my chair right there.
No, I feel a little bit more comfortable like this.
Okay.
This is good.
This is good. This is good. So welcome back. I appreciate you coming back on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And it's been, I think it's been almost a year since you were on last.
I didn't even look before I came in, but maybe something like that.
But you were saying though you feel more comfortable this time.
For sure.
Do you remember being nervous last time?
It was one of my first podcasts. So yeah, I was super nervous.
And now you're a pro.
Sure, yeah.
So if anyone wants to really hear, well, I mean, I would still love for, I forget that, and who is going to go listen to all 150 whatever episodes of the back catalog?
Yeah.
So I was going to say, you were probably familiar with her a year ago, all of you new people listening, but why don't you give a little bit of background before we kind of get to today's topic?
About me or about the podcast
about you?
Did? Okay.
Yeah.
I am Elisabeth Mortensen. I am the owner and founder of Eat Squat Mom. I have 3 daughters. I am married to a wonderful military spouse.
On your website, you call him, is he a hunky pilot?
He's a hunky pilot.
Okay.
Man. Yeah.
he is a hunky guy.
He's my hunky pilot, and yes, you can be bald and hunky, because that's what he is.
Exactly.
So.
And I endorse and support that message.
He was so excited when we moved here. We went to church for the first time, and he walked in, and he had never seen so many bald people.
Really?
That's totally off topic, but he had never seen so many bald people, and he's like, wow, I feel like I fit in. This is so awesome.
So is that a California thing, maybe?
I don't know.
I don't
know. But he was outnumbered when we lived in Washington, and he just, people always say, oh, I got gray hairs. He's like, man, if only my gray hairs were my problem.
Exactly. I would like to have hair for gray hair.
But yeah, hunky pilot. We've been in the military for 10 years. We're hopefully almost done. But I started Eat Squat Mom because I first was just a personal trainer and teaching a group of moms a stroller fitness class, and my friend really kind of pushed me to do the online training or whatever, just to get my name out there, because I'm an introvert.
Right, which I love, and that's what we talked a little bit about. Please go listen to the first episode, because you don't think of someone Eat Squat Mom out there trying to make a difference social media as an introvert, but you truly are.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love social interaction. I love building connections, but my personality is just shy. I'm just way more of a shy person. So to actually start something like this was totally outside my comfort zone, but I'm also someone that is not a quitter.
Okay.
And so when I started it, I had no idea like the realms of like social media and what I had to do in order to promote and get myself out there. And it was all overwhelming. It's been overwhelming, but at the same time, I as a person have grown and learned so much about myself.
Yeah.
And even just as a trainer, as a coach, people, it's been the best thing that I have ever done for myself. Just in so many levels, not just health wise, but just in my marriage and in building connections with friends and family. It's just been an amazing thing.
Because you had to rely on connections a lot. Your husband does he deploy or
he does he does deploy, and so it kind of, we've been away from family since we left the very first time when we got our first assignment. We've been away from family, and so it's hard, we have to build those connections and those bonds with other people, and the military has also forced me out of that little bubble, right? Like it's forced me out of that bubble to make and build those connections, and also just see people in a different light. And I very much love to help people and love to make people feel good and feel happy. It makes me feel good and it makes me feel happy, and so I think that's why my friend wanted me so badly to do this, is because she saw me help her and she saw how much I loved it, and you can only do so much with just your little group that you have here locally. And so it's been fulfilling and hard, and definitely times where you want to quit and say forget it, throw in the towel and say it's too hard. But just that one person, when you just get that one person that says you changed my life, or you made me just feel so much more confident than I ever have before. It's like, okay, all this.
Yeah, and I know I'm not trying to get anyone to have pity on those of us trying to put things out into the world, but it really is. I think of the word often relentless. Yeah. Just, you feel like if you're not creating or posting or presenting or something on a regular basis, that people will just kind of forget about what you're trying to do, and then the self-doubt creeps in, and then there are those negative stories kind of that. And I think we maybe talked a little bit about that at the last one.
We did. Well, the big thing for me is I have to go back to why I'm here, and I'm here not because making money is gonna be a byproduct of it, but I'm here because I have been where these women are that I want to help so badly. And going back, if you go back to my podcast with you, I talked about my backstory, and I've been that person that's been overweight, and then I've also been that person that to lose the weight I went to so many extremes and was in this emotionally unhealthy spot, and it caused miscarriages, and I thought I was doing what I was supposed to be doing and getting thinner and getting skinnier, and it was so horrible in mental health for me, and it put me in such a bad spot. And I see that in so many women, and I see, my industry is great at promoting the six-pack abs and, all of this and the quick fix and do all of these things, and then, oh, wow, you'll magically be happy. Yes. And I know from personal experience that getting those things did not make me happy. It made me less happy, right? Like it just, I was more happy with 30 pounds heavier and just kind of chugging along in life than I was 30 pounds less and thinking that I wasn't good enough still.
Well, and that's what I love about your story is I think a lot of people that haven't had the six-pack abs or haven't had the sculpted body or running the ultra marathons or competing in fitness competitions, they still want to say that, no, I'm sure that when people do get there, it really is what it looks like, and it looks great, and I will be happy. But you've been there. Yeah,
and, there are people that they do lose the weight, and they do become happier, but people don't understand what they did to get there. And if it was just for vain reasons, I can promise you that it was not the weight that made them happy. It was not. It was not them losing all this weight and looking different that made them happy. It was the things that they did in the process to get there, the habits that they created, the lifestyle change that they made, the way that their body now feels. It is not the weight. Yeah, maybe they can stand in front of a mirror, put on a smaller size jeans, and they can feel proud and strong that they've accomplished that. But I want women to understand that it's not the weight that's going to make them happier.
Okay.
It's the things that they are doing and the things that, and the habits that is what is going to make them confident and stronger and someone that is in love with their body at any stage, because you can go from, you know, loving your body 30 pounds, you know, or whatever number you have or whatever, you can be in love with that person and the strength that you have and the dedication that you have, and you can still be in love with that same person 20 pounds less, but that's what you love about yourself. It's not the number on the scale.
Okay. And I like your vulnerability even over the last year where you're in good shape. You're creating programs, but do you still have those days where you kind of feel like this?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I just want to make sure.
Okay. There we go. We're still recording. All right. All of a sudden, my computer wanted me to put on my AirPods.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I talk a lot about that in my posts. I am not shy about being vulnerable about the times that I feel like I am reverting back to those old habits. And just recently, honestly, to talk about my summer. Summer usually gets the best of me, right?
Okay.
You create lots of memories. It's just, there's barbecues, there's foods, and there's definitely habits that I've created over the last 10 years of me doing this that helps me not, you know, all of a sudden just go crazy and pack on all this weight. But I do get a little fluffier, like if you want to say that, like it's not, and that's not bad, but I create these memories, and then I come into the fall, and sometimes you start to get down about yourself. Those old habits creep back in of, you know, I can't believe I did this to myself. What am I doing? And then you start to think, I'm never going to be successful at this, or then body image things start to come back into play. And so I have to take a step back.
Yeah.
I do. And tracking is not what everyone needs, but for me, tracking helps me understand where my control is going off. And so I had to, 4 weeks ago, I just committed back to tracking. And I didn't say I'm tracking to lose weight. I didn't, you know, it wasn't for vain reasons. It was, I gave myself a goal of 6 weeks of consistently tracking for me to remind myself of what foods I'm going to eat that make me feel good. Well, I know what foods are going to make me feel good, but how much I can eat. And that's the big thing, is sometimes you start to think, okay, well, I can't eat that and I can't eat that. But in reality, if I just start reminding myself what it is going to do for me, and it's just tracking for me is helping me get back into control.
So just the awareness, basically, is that, I like that goal. So even if because I like that, that's you don't have to, not all or nothing or black or white thinking. So the tracking is just, I'm taking some action, movement, that sort of thing.
Yep, it's for me, it's my action step to just say, Elizabeth, okay, that's enough. Stop making these, you know, scenarios in your head of all of a sudden you're going to go back to who you were, and you're not that person anymore. You have information. I've been doing this for so long that, I trust myself and I can make informed decisions. And I did that throughout the summer. That's why, you know, I didn't pack on 30 pounds, you know, maybe it was a couple pounds of extra fluff, but I just didn't feel good. And my head starts to get in these negative spaces. And so for me, I like being in control, and I like having the control of foods or anything in my life. So when things are out of control and I can't control them, that's where my negative headspace comes in. And so for me, it's just about taking a step back and saying, okay, here's your goal. Has nothing to do with the way that you look. It just has everything to do with the way that you feel. Okay,
and then that's why we wanted to have you on a second time, because so that led to what? What did you had a blog post that kind of talked about this?
I did. Well, so the I posted a bunch of questions on my Instagram thing about body image, and so a lot of people kind of had heard my story, and the question that I kept getting was, okay, I get it, that's great, you changed, but how did you do it? Right? So people always want to know that how, where did that come from? Yeah, you say, okay, don't have this negative headspace of body image, but it's really hard for me to look in the mirror and not hate my body. Right? And I totally understand that. So I did an Instagram live, I don't know, a while ago, talking about this, and then I just kind of threw up a blog post about it. But yeah, I wanted to come on here and talk about how, you know, how I did it. So when I was on before, I talked a lot about my journey and where I came from, and where I came from negative to positive and all that stuff. But we didn't talk about that how.
And I like when we got together a couple of weeks ago to talk about this, we talked about how, and you can maybe frame this better, but how the mental health industry the fitness industry and mental health don't always, they're not best friends, so
No.
to speak. And so when you did lay out this post, and I don't know if you remember, I kind of got really excited because I felt like everything you were saying, and I felt like I was trying to show off and show you that this is an acceptance and commitment therapy principle, or this is what in my therapy I say this, and I felt like it was like a Reese's peanut butter, like chocolate meets peanut butter moment where
I think it was good
yeah.
because it lets people see that they need to go together.
And why? How did you described that very well when we were talking earlier, last time.
Mm-hmm.
What is it though about do you feel like people in just the fitness industry for the most part want to make it just look like it's just hard work and you're going to get these 6-pack abs and you're going to be happy and buy this program or this supplement and that's all you need?
Well, here's the thing.
Okay.
Here's what I think, okay? The quick fix sells, right?
Yes.
The quick fix sells. Everyone wants the quick fix. And I'm not just talking fitness. I'm talking a lot of things.
Oh, my pornography recovery program. I mean, I feel like I've run into people that have taken multiple programs because they want to find the one that has this phrase or this thing will cause everything to change.
Right.
They do. They want it in all kinds of industries.
And it's human nature in us to say, okay, I want the easy route, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
yes.
to just say the easy route. But what people don't understand is there are so many things in their life that they have done that are so incredibly hard that they don't realize how long it's taken them to get there.
Okay.
And I talk to a lot of moms about this, and I say, okay, was being a mom hard?
Yeah.
And they say, yeah, being a mom is hard. It's really hard. So I say, why do you do it?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you stop? Why don't you give up? Why don't you just throw in the towel and say, forget it, I'm not going to be a mom anymore? And so we look at those things and we figure out what is it about it that has them do it. Is it only because they have to do it? Like they can't not do it? And no, it's not. It's because they find joy in it. It's because there's hard times, but there's always a reward from it. So I find I go through this series of like, okay, what in your life have you accomplished that has been really hard, that you didn't stop doing? And then we look at why didn't you stop doing it? And I think it's with anything. So many people want to change the way that they parent, or they want to change the way that their marriage is. And those simple, they want it to just be a simple act of, okay, all I have to do is make the bed in the morning for my husband more often. Right? And marriage is fixed, right? Don't we all? Like, we all want it, but we're not here on life to just have everything be easy.
Right.
Like, it's just not. And health and fitness is looked at as something that's not mandatory, right? I think a lot of people, I mean, I know that sounds kind of harsh, but people look at it as like, food is natural. Like, I naturally need to eat. So it should be something that is natural for me. I should not have to think about it. I should not have to track my food. I should not have to, worry about how many minutes of exercise I'm getting in a day. And that's where people, I think, they need to get out of that negative headspace and say, okay, why do I need to do this for my body? It's for all these positive reasons, and it's not to look a certain way, but it's, I want to get stronger. I want to feel less tired. I want to be able to be 50 and run around with my kids. Like, and that doesn't mean that you're doing hours of intense workout a day or being in a deficit for the rest of your life. It just means moving your body and getting informed, like getting informed with your food. It's hard. People don't want to look at food as something that they have to learn, but I think, okay, how many parenting books have you read? Right? Or how many marriage podcasts have you listened to? Or how many, you have a craft, you loved crafts and you love sewing. How many books about sewing did you read in order to learn it? Okay. I
love that somebody's going to hear that right now and think that you know this about me and that, I didn't know Tony liked to sew.
Oh, yeah. But he does. Did you not know that?
Right?
He quilts on a daily basis.
I wish I could quilt, actually. That would be kind of a nice, I have a client that quilts beautifully, and it is a very therapeutic thing.
Right. It's so people don't think to learn. Like, if you just took 1 month, and I always say, if anyone doesn't want to track or do that, and you don't want to be in a deficit, don't. But if you could just dedicate yourself to 1 month of tracking food, not for a calorie count, not for a calorie count, not for a macro count, not for anything. If you could just track your food for 1 month and look at the labels, see what's in your food, see what that food is giving you. Say an apple or whatever is giving you this many carbs, and that's more of a high value carb. I mean, I talk about macro value, macro exact in my post, and I have a blog post about it, so you can check that out. But if you just did that for 1 month, the amount of information that you could gain about your food is crazy, that you could go on and make so many more informed decisions.
I'll throw a therapy concept number 1, and then I want to get to your blog post, because I can't wait to do this. But I like the bringing that awareness, because I feel like there's the undercurrent of really you have to be honest with yourself, because I know you've heard these stories. I've had clients, I've had a couple of friends who do track their food for a trainer, for example, but then when we're talking, they'll say, yeah, but I'm not letting them know that I ate this or I drank this, or because I don't want them to call me out on it. I don't want to be embarrassed about it. And that's the thing where who wins with that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I get it all the time.
Do you?
Yeah, you know, I had a bad weekend, or, hey, so did you track your foods? No, I didn't. It's the people don't want to be told that they're wrong.
Yeah.
They don't want to be held accountable for the choices that they made. And food is something that they don't feel like they should have to be accountable for, right? Because they've put so much guilt and shame.
That's what I say. We get this shame part that kicks in.
It's that guilt and shame. It's that good versus bad. It's that healthy versus unhealthy versus what makes my body feel good. And if it's a cinnamon roll today, it's a cinnamon roll today. And we're not going to put shame or guilt on it. But we have to be informed with those choices. We have to say, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm eating. And I'm doing it because I'm celebrating, you know, a birthday party with my friends and family, and I want to eat the cake, and that's okay, and there's no guilt and shame to it, but you're doing it because you're informed. Those decisions that you're making are not just, well, I don't know, I'm just going to eat the cake because it looks good, and then I'll feel bad that I ate the cake. Like, you cannot feel bad or feel shamed when you make a decision that was informed and that was your choice. Like, you can't say, oh, that was a bad choice. Like, you made that choice. It's not good or it's bad. You made the choice, so you just need to own up to it.
I was going to say, that's perfect segue to number 1. What is your first, so you've got these 4 principles that you feel like are part of what led to your change.
Right. So I talked in the last podcast about my story, and then, so what led me to these 4 things was, I remember just sitting there one day when my husband, because he was gone a lot, he had been in a training, and I had a newborn, and he was gone, and he was only able to come back on the weekends, and I just was in this place where I wanted to run again, and my baby was 4 weeks old. Like, keep in mind, my baby was 4 weeks old, and I weighed less than I did when I got pregnant.
Wow.
And that's how unhealthy my mind was.
I would say, you're not saying that was awesome.
No, that's how unhealthy my mind was at, because I was so scared to eat because I couldn't run.
No.
And I was so unhappy, and I was so miserable, and my husband came home, and he just looked at me, and I could just tell that he did not know who he was looking at.
Wow.
Like, there was just a part of me that was so completely missing that he just did not even know who his wife was. And so I just remember thinking, like, this cannot be what it feels like to love my body, be healthy, be strong, and be happy.
Okay.
Like, there was just no way. Like, that number on the scale, yeah, I wanted to be like, woohoo, I'm less weight than I was when I got pregnant. No, like, I was miserable. My baby wasn't sleeping, my husband was gone, all of these things were factoring into, and I cared more about when I was going to be able to run again.
Okay.
And it was so damaging. And so it just led me to this part where I just said, it can't be like this anymore. I can't. And I mean, my husband and I had a good talk, but I just sat down and I started making a plan for myself and trying to see how I could get out of this negative headspace. And the first thing that I did was I had to write my story.
Okay.
So often we want to look at the parts of our life, especially where I had gained the weight and put on the weight with my first child, as bad.
Okay.
And I had to stop thinking that that was bad, and I had to just start saying, that's my story. That's what got me to where I am.
Yeah.
That's where I am. And it can be things when you were 10 years old and maybe you had a mom that was so obsessed with food and the way that she looked, and she put that on you, and so you grew up your whole life thinking that foods were good and bad. And whatever your story is, you got to write it. You you need to sit down and you need to, maybe it takes you 5 minutes, maybe it takes you a month, I don't care, but you need to sit down and you need to write out where you've been so that you can figure out where you want to go.
Well, like in the world of addiction, there's a concept of an inventory. It's like step 4 in the 12-step process. And I remember one of the first people who shared an inventory with me, and I had read a couple of others that were just kind of the highlights of somebody's life. And then I read one where it was exactly what you were saying, where he went back to the way he had been raised, the way that women had been objectified in his family, the way his, all of these things that really, I really watched as he laid out what kind of got him to where he's at now. And I love that it's the owning it, and got to throw the note in there it's where nobody's going to judge or shame you because of that. You don't have to let anybody read it, right? Yeah. And I feel like this is where I throw in the acceptance and commitment therapy, which I love. ACT, the first principle of ACT as well is they're called private experiences, and you're the only one that has them. And they're all of I always kind of get into this thing where it's the nature and the nurture and the birth order and the DNA and the abandonment and rejection and divorce and moving and people who die and friends who go, leave, and all that's all unique to you. And so that puts you where you're at now. So if you didn't, and I like what you were saying earlier, so then when you talked about when you make the choice, you make the choice. I mean, that's what you do, because those private experiences you have the thoughts and feelings you have because of those private experiences, and that's, again, it's why you have them. If you didn't have those thoughts and feelings, then I always throw in there that you're a robot or a psychopath. I mean, but I do it for humor, right? But I mean, but it's because I feel like that's where people then want to start to not own that or make excuses or kind of project onto someone else, but those are your experiences. Right,
and I love that you said excuses, because when you write your story, you find your excuses.
Yeah.
Okay? So when you're writing it out, and your excuse could have nothing to do with weight, but it's impacting your desire to want to lose weight. Okay, so it could be that, an excuse that, maybe you went through a really horrendous ordeal with a parent and a sickness and maybe a cancer, and they died, and during that process you had no time for yourself, and you were caring for all of this, and you still don't understand the emotional toll that it's taking on you.
Yeah.
And they don't necessarily associate that with why they want to lose weight, right? But when you can sit down and you can write that story, you can find your excuses for why you are where you are, and then you can find solutions instead of just continuing on with those solutions. Because people talk about the why all the time, right? They want to know, what is your why? What is your why? And that's great. But I think this step lets you know, it talks about, like, you need to know the how. How did you get there, so that you can understand why you want this.
Can I throw, on the fly here too, I like that because I feel like the why is wonderful, but I like to give the example of if you hear somebody talk about running a marathon, and if all of a sudden you say, man, I want to do that. I want to do it because of all these good reasons that go behind that, and your brain gives a little dopamine, and you feel like, yeah, but then immediately your mind does make excuses. And it does say I don't know, I don't have anybody to run with, or I don't have a training partner, I don't know any marathons in the area, I've heard a lot about it hurting my knees, I might fail, and I feel like that is that the brain wants path of least resistance.
Yeah.
And so even you can have a great why, but you still have these excuses, really, that pop up that try to get you away from that goal, that why.
And when someone comes to me and says, I want to lose weight, I say, why?
Okay.
And then they say,
what do they just say? Because I want to look great.
Right, because I want to be able to fit in my jeans that I was wearing 10 years ago. Why? Because when I was there, I was happier. Why? Like, I continue to walk through this why process with them until I really dive into, that is why you want this. It has nothing to do with,
because I was happier then, or I was,
like, you look at, people associate happiness with their body image, right? So when they say, oh, I was happier before I was a mom, and because I was at this size, no, you weren't happier than you were before you were a mom. I guarantee you are happier now as a mom, but there are things in your life that have occurred that have changed the way that you view yourself. It is not the size that you were happier at, right?
No, I like that. So that's it's the core issue there might be then, okay, you have felt now like you don't know how to mom. so that's left you not feeling happy.
Yeah.
But your brain goes to, but I was in shape back then.
So I was happy.
So I get in shape now, I'll be the better mom or whatever.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, own your story. The second one was to determine what I valued most. And the big thing was, I looked back and I said, okay, what are my top three things? What are the top three things that I value in my life? And when my body image was in that top 3 or even that number 1,
yeah,
it was like a red flag to me.
Okay.
Because it was me saying that I valued the way that I looked, and I thought I needed to look this way for a particular person or something. When I valued that over strengthening my marriage.
Being a good...
I valued that over being a mom.
Yeah.
Like, that was like, what is wrong with me? Like, where did this come from that I value the way that my body looks or the way that it is on a scale? That was the big thing for me. It wasn't so much like, I mean, I was thin. Like, there was nothing wrong with my body, but I associated this number with it. And so when I was saying that number was more valuable than my marriage, I couldn't do it anymore. I broke down and I was like, I apologized to my husband. Like, there's so many things that I just said, I can't believe I've let this take over what I value most. And so that's what I want people to see. I want people to say, okay, what are the top 3 things that you value most? And if your body image is in that top 3 things, we need a mental check. Okay, no, I like that. I like that. And so, and I wrote down in my notes too, so that acceptance and commitment therapy principle there, I do feel along with that, are people sometimes don't know what their values are, and they take upon them the values of their parents or even their church community or their siblings or their spouse or people, and that's where people are telling them what they should care about, or they should believe, or should. I know. Do you love that word? Should. I know. I want to ex-nay that word from like our dictionary. I do like doing because when I say though, nobody wants to be should on. I feel like I'm kind of on the edge, Elizabeth, right? But that one is horrible because, and that goes back to in my mind, those private experiences, that owning your story. That's where I want to say, okay, and when someone has gone through exactly every single thing that you've gone through as well and knows exactly what how you're processing things, what you're dealing with, then maybe they can shoot on you a little bit. Then I don't still feel like it's right, but you see the point. Right. Where, I mean, I had someone telling me recently where their husband, I'll say bless his heart so I can maybe not say the most positive things, all names are changed and all these things. Of course, this is completely hypothetical. We'll say that. But if husband was saying, you've got it better than single moms or whatever. I mean, my mind goes to this, okay, so let's hear about his experience as a single mom. You know? I mean, I just feel like that's the thing where people, when they are trying to tell you what you should believe and what you should think and how you should feel and what your values should be, no wonder people start to feel kind of disconnected or antsy or not like they're being themselves. Correct. And the big thing is, I don't want people to think that health shouldn't be part of their top 3. Right? So... health is part of my top 3. Marriage and family is, my number 1, and then my faith is number 2, and health is my number 3, right? So it's not that health is bad for you to think about, but it's the way that you view it. I can't look at my health and relate it to a number on the scale. That is where it's detrimental to me, and that's where it's detrimental to so many women. So when I say place value on it, do it, but I want you to place value on it with goals such as, how can I get faster in my run? How can I get stronger in the gym? How can I get more consistent with my workouts? Like, make your goals around things like that and not around, I want to be this, I want to weigh this much, or I want to have a 6-pack set of abs. You said something earlier that I'll be 50 in about a month and a half. And I will tell you, one of my goals throughout, all whether it's the ultra running or all these things, has been I wanted to be the dad that could play basketball and run and do things with my kids. And it's funny because I used to look 20 years ago of, I would love to still be playing basketball with my son at 50. And we were shooting in the gym a few days ago, and I thought, I almost got emotional. And, and I know he doesn't care when I'm saying, I'm almost 50, Jake, and he's like, hey, get my rebound, old man. But in my mind, I was thinking, okay, I just felt so emotional about, that's this long-term goal of
and it didn't have to do with this time or whatever that was.
Yeah, and I love that because you point out that ultra marathon running, it got you to that place of wanting to be healthy.
Yeah.
Right? But ultra marathon did not get you to being 50 and playing basketball.
No.
Right?
No.
So ultra marathon, it was kind of like your byproduct of like, hey, this is how I'm going to get healthy, and you got that goal of I want to be an ultra marathon runner, and
it's
you
fun.
did it,
You get the
and
M&Ms
you
during
did
the
it,
race.
but
yeah.
you now are 50 and you're
Not
healthy.
Not yet, Elizabeth.
Okay,
come on now.
Sorry.
In a month. Thank you.
You've reached that goal, but it wasn't the ultra marathon. That's what I want people to say. It's not the 6-pack abs. It's those are goals. If you want that goal, by all means, do it. But do it because you have a reason for doing it. That is because you want to challenge yourself so much with your nutrition that allows you to get that, but not because you want it for vain reasons.
Yeah, no, I like, because I don't get, there's no special place in heaven for me for doing 150 ultra marathons, but being able to, I don't know, have these experiences with my kids at 50 is I don't know, that's what I always wanted.
So health totally can be, valuable. I just, it's that whole wanting it for, the way that you look, for sure. So yeah, then number 3 is a big one for me. But I just said communicate.
Okay, but the third one's all caps, so you kind of like gotta yell a little
communicate.
There you go.
There you go.
Well done.
But yeah, it is so often we get in our little bubble and we get in our little self-pity mode and we start to just say, woe is me, everything is wrong with me, and there's no positive talk in there, right?
Yeah.
So we just think that nobody's gonna care, nobody wants to hear it, you're just gonna be a complainer, and that is so not true. You are never alone in whatever you're going through, and if it is something that is causing you to feel so inadequate, that you don't have any value, that your worth is not measurable, like, if you are feeling that way, there is someone out there that is willing to listen and support you and help you in whatever you need. And the big thing is that you need to just communicate that with people of what you need. Because the big thing is, my husband saw how distraught I was and how upset and how negative of a space I was in. And he didn't like it. But I was never telling him what exactly it was that was causing me to feel this way. I didn't ever tell him why I was thinking these things. And so for him, he would just say, you're beautiful, I love you, you're amazing, there's nothing wrong with you. And those were just like mumbled words in my head, okay? And for some people, that's what they need. But for me, I'm not a words of affirmation kind of person. And it makes me sound like a horrible wife. People are like, well, your husband's complimenting you. And for me, it wasn't that. I would take those words and I would say, well, then what I'm doing in the gym is not enough for you, because you would like me no matter what, if I was doing it or if I wasn't. Like, it's that twisting of the words, okay? So he's telling me these things because he thinks, oh, she just needs to be reminded how beautiful she is. And I didn't. And so I had to sit down with him and I had to say, I love that you want to compliment me, but it's more damaging to me than anything. And so what I need from you is I need action. I am someone that loves quality time, and I love active service. And so for you, I need you to put action to your words. So I need there to be you saying, what can I help you with today that's going to alleviate some stress from your life? Or what can I do for you that is going to help you feel better about the way that you view your body? Like, I needed him to understand what I was going through and then put action to it versus just saying the typical, oh, you're beautiful, you're strong, you're amazing, all of that.
And I want you to, I'm so glad you're talking about this, because I feel like you're right. I'm sure some people will say, but he said you were beautiful. And if I wish my husband would say that, but that's not the point we're making. The point is being able to feel like you can be open and vulnerable and authentic, all those kind of things. Because first of all, I do feel like man brain would love a playbook, a map, to know what they can do.
Into our complicated world.
Sure, but I even love that your husband was definitely doing what he felt was best. And when you don't communicate, and I see this in couples therapy all the time, where if a mom does say, I feel overwhelmed, a lot of times a husband, when he doesn't know what that really means, does say, hey, I know you can do it. You're amazing. You do hard things. You're great. And he means well, but she didn't, you know, she put out this emotional bid and didn't have that met.
Mm-hmm.
And so, or I think that's the part where, you know, I don't feel like I look pretty, and if the husband just says you look beautiful, you know, we want to get to the tell me more about that. What are you feeling? What are you thinking? Right?
Yeah. And the big thing is to not tell yourself they don't understand. They don't understand. Because that's what I was just always saying is he won't understand. He won't understand. Right? Because he, you know, he was not working out as intense as I was, and he still hadn't put on weight since we got married. So they're not going to understand. The thing is, they want to understand.
Yes. Yeah.
Those that love you want to understand.
Yes, very much.
So you have to help them. You can't just say, I don't get why he doesn't understand, or he should understand.
That one, back to the word should.
Right.
I mean, I'll tell you in therapy all the time, I say, have you expressed that? Have you let him know? And I hear all the time of, he knows.
Yeah.
Or, you know, well, he should know by now. And that's where I say, okay, great. Maybe he should, or maybe you think he does, but let's kind of give that a voice.
Yeah. Well, and even in my marriage now, with like not even health and fitness related, he's like, just tell me what you want. And I think I shouldn't have to tell you what I want. Right. You should just know. You should just know what needs to be cleaned up around the house.
Oh,
right?
Boy, that's a trap.
So totally a trap. Like I don't want to have to tell him what he should already know to do, right?
No, so my side of the bed, I feel like I've got everything kind of neatly in piles, and I'm thinking my wife will praise me.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the goal. I think she actually wants things removed.
Oh, well, I mean, you made the bed because it was just supposed to be made.
Exactly.
I don't have to tell you thank you for making the bed.
Right, okay. There's episode 3 coming up.
We'll bring the spouses on, Tony, and that could be an interesting podcast.
That's still my dream. Yeah, it is. Okay.
But yeah, and oftentimes, like, you have to understand, you have to be the first one to start that open conversation. They're not going to come up to you and just say, what do you need? Let's help you. Let's communicate. You have to be that one so that you can start to heal your relationship with them and with your body, because oftentimes that relationship needs to be fixed in order for you to be able to fix your relationship with your body. So work on both of those and just allow yourself to be vulnerable and allow setbacks to happen, because they're going to happen. Learn from it. Have it be a learning experience in so many aspects of your life, and not just health and fitness. Well,
and really quick before we go on to number 4 too, I feel like that is sometimes a guy, bless his heart, is saying, hey, is everything okay? Or I feel like you're off. And that is, I do feel like a lot of times, I don't know if you ever do this, but you say, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And it's that I want him to just know, or I want him to dig in deeper. But then, you know, the guy has his own experience where he's probably had times where he's, hey, no, really, I feel like something's wrong. And she's like, nothing's wrong, you know? And it's like, okay. Yeah. So.
Or it's just in our head,
yeah,
he's not going to understand. I'm not even going to bother trying.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so communicate.
Okay, I love it.
And then the last one was, yeah, I did all this work, but what am I going to do about it now? Now what? I had to put action.
No,
okay,
good.
so often, yeah, I wanted to change. Yeah, I wanted to heal my relationship with my body. I wanted to do all this, and it was all in my head. But I needed to put action to my words, and I did that when I lost weight, right? So I knew I could do it. I knew I wanted to lose weight. I did it. I put action to it. I started exercising. I started watching what I was eating, did all of these things. I now needed to reverse the process and put action to help me start to love my body more. And to do things like that, it was journaling my feelings, right? Like it was journaling everything and putting it all out there. And then also make a pros and cons list, because there were good things that I was doing when it came to my health and fitness. Okay, so exercising
wasn't all bad.
Right, exercising was good. That was a con, but to the extreme that I was exercising, watching what I was eating and being more mindful, that was good, but not the restricting and not the telling myself that there was good and bad things. So it was making a pros and cons list of the things that were good and the things that were bad. And then you could see, okay, where am I going wrong? And then you can take action steps to say, I'm not going to do that anymore, which, you know, is easier said than done. But then you can say, okay, this is what really needs to be fixed. It's not my exercising. I don't need to cut out exercising. Exercising is good, but what about my exercising that I need to fix? And then you can put baby steps towards it.
Sure.
And so I'm pretty sure a lot of people talk about goals and setting goals. So people say, I want to lose weight. Great. Okay, so let's make a plan. So my thing is,
do you feel like, is it too ambiguous just to say lose weight?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Right? Because then there is, well, I'm going to lose weight. Okay, so I'm going to just start exercising. And then people start getting down on themselves because they didn't exercise, or they had a bad day where they started eating everything in the pantry. And so now they're a failure, and it's the all or nothing, right?
Yes.
So you have to take that goal. So my goal was, I need to start learning to love my body. And how was I going to do that? And so you have your goal, and then you have these skills, and it can be 2 skills, it can be 6 skills, whatever it is that's going to take to reach that goal. It's little baby steps that you're going to do. So often people want the main goal, and it becomes this all or nothing.
Right,
because,
there's the big crash diet.
Right, because it's all or nothing, because either they are reaching their goal of losing weight or they're not, but they don't realize all the little tiny skills that they have to do in order to get there that they need to celebrate.
Yeah.
So they don't celebrate those things, even though they are doing them, they just see the end result and it's not there, so they say they're a failure, right? So I say, let's take the example of, okay, I want to lose weight. And they say, okay, well, what do you want to do? Skill to that is I need to drink more water, I need to get more vegetables in, and I need to be more consistent with my exercise. Okay, so those are your 3 skills. Well, then I want them to break down their skills into little things. Okay, so great, you want to drink more water. How are you going to drink more water? So then they say, okay, well, I'm going to make sure I have my 64 ounce, or not 6, that's a huge one, 32 ounce hydro flask, and I'm going to make sure I fill it 3 times in the day. Okay, and then they go over to the veggies. Great, you want to eat more veggies. How are you going to eat more veggies? Well, I'm going to make sure that I, as soon as I get home from the grocery store, I'm going to chop them up and I'm going to bag them individually so I have veggies each day.
Okay.
Like little things. So now they can say, okay, well, I had this goal of losing weight. It's not happening. Why? And they can figure out why it's not happening. And that was the action steps I needed to take for understanding, why do I not love my body? Where am I going wrong? Okay, what I was going wrong was the communicating. Okay, so how am I going to communicate? Journaling was a big part of it for me. Even though I wasn't communicating with my spouse, I was communicating something. Yeah. Okay, so it was, I'm going to communicate, and then I'm going to reevaluate my exercise routine and find out, what do I really love? Do I really love running as much as I am running? Because it is extreme right now. And I didn't. Like, that's where I started to fall in love with kind of weights a little bit more. Because I liked running, but I was bored. I was burnt out. My body wasn't in love with it. And so I needed to switch it up. So I said, okay, I need to switch it up. So those were like my 2 goals. Like, what am I going to do? And then later on, it was fixing my relationship with food. Because I couldn't do the exercise and food at the same time. I knew myself. I knew it was overwhelming. I knew that I would just feel like I was just going to fail no matter what. I had a very restrictive diet, and I needed to get back into loving certain foods because they weren't bad, but I knew I couldn't do that at the moment. And so just learning to communicate and learning to look at exercise as something that was more joyful than a punishment, or that I had to do, or a means to an end. I had to fix those 2 things. And in that process, I definitely started to look at my body as an amazing thing and not a number on the scale. Oh
no, and I like where even there's value behind an exercise. And so if you don't like running, because I have had clients that have done more classes or yoga or those things, and you watch their brain say, yeah, but I'm not burning as many calories, or I'm not whatever is running, and that's not the point, right? So if the goal is, I just did the right thing where I just threw it right up there. But if your goal is to, now I'm rattled, if your goal, Elisabeth, K, all right. If your goal then is to improve the relationship you have with your body, or just fitness in general, then I'm not burning as many calories as running. And this is what I love, another acceptance and commitment therapy principle, is a story my brain is trying to hook me to, because if it can get me to buy into that, then I don't have to continue to do the work that is new and difficult. I'm just trying to change my relationship with exercise or my body. Because we're not debating if that story is true or false. That one, as a matter of fact, do you burn more calories running? Probably, but we're not. That's not the argument. That's not. I'm saying like
that's a different podcast, but I could go a lot into that one.
Well, I'm saying then doing something fluffy,
But here's the thing.
But I mean, you see my point though.
Movement.
Yes, 100%. But and that's where I feel like though people then do get down on themselves, and they say if I'm going to get back to exercising, it has to be extreme, or it has to be running.
But that's the should, because someone is telling them that the fitness industry is telling them, you know, CrossFit is a huge example of like intense exercise.
Yeah.
And so people feel like if they're not doing CrossFit, they're not going to lose weight, or they're not going to get, you know, a sculpted body or whatever. CrossFit is intense. People love it. It's great, but you do not have to do it if you do not enjoy it, because you won't be consistent with it and it won't get you to
And that's the key. Yeah. So if you're not buying in, then you won't be consistent, and then you get to, then you do the "what's wrong with me" story in my brain, which is super funny. Again, for another day podcast. It's funny you bring up CrossFit. So I haven't even talked about this, but I've had a bit of an injury, a little bit of a setback. So there's a little bit of a hiatus on running right now, and so I knew I would love CrossFit, but I have not. I've looked at that as but it's not running, and so now that I literally can't do as much running right now, I have now started to embrace CrossFit, and now I realize, wow, that was quite a story my brain was telling me before of that. Well, it's not running. If I'm gonna be running 100 milers or whatever, I just have to do more running. Yeah. And now I realize, wow, I was really missing out on some things that I really enjoy. Yeah. Some of the CrossFit things.
Yeah. And it's just the whole, you know, cardio is one of those things that's been drained in people's head, is that's what they have to do in order to lose weight.
Yep.
And what people really fail to understand, and women in general, is you're going to lose weight only doing the things that you love.
Okay, that's big.
Well, not just lose weight, okay? You're going to be consistent and be able to sustain a weight loss doing the things that you love.
And that's in the consistent and sustain, that's the big thing.
Right.
We're not trying to just get the immediate quick,
So if it is yoga, if yoga is your thing, and no, it does not burn a ton of calories, but if yoga is your thing and you can consistently do yoga, whatever, 5 days a week if you want to, and watch what you eat, you will be consistent and you will lose weight because you love it, you enjoy it. But if you are forced to go do a group fitness class and you do not love it, and you're just like, well, it's on the schedule, I gotta go do it.
You're gonna come up with excuses and reasons and whatever. Yeah,
right?
You really are.
Especially if you are someone that doesn't like getting in the car and having to go to the gym or do all those things, you're gonna come up with excuses. So you have to be able to love what you do, and you have to find, like, going back to the putting actions to your words, don't just write down what you should be doing, right? Yeah. Don't just say, okay, I have to drink 100 ounces of water because I should be drinking it. You have to drink and understand why that's important for you to drink 100 ounces of water. And then do what is going to be, that works for you. My whole thing with, you know, the programs that I build and everything is that you are unique. What works for you is not necessarily going to work for somebody else. So put those blinders on. Stop looking at everyone else. And just say, okay, this is for me. Okay, I want to love my body for me. I want to do this for me. And how is what I'm going to do going to help me? And then you're going to be unstoppable.
Oh, I love it. And back to, I just, that you made me think of the values part that we talked about earlier. So group fitness, for example. So I do have people that they just feel like they have to run, but their value is connection with people or community, or so they do come into that. I don't like running, I'm hurting, I didn't get enough sleep, I'm too tired. Those stories get in the way. But if it was I'm going to go to a group fitness class and that was true to their value, there you go with consistency, and they're not going to come up with as many of the excuses.
Yeah, because if group fitness, I mean, I love group fitness for the camaraderie, the community that it brings. So there are so many times that I talk to a mom and they fall in love with group fitness because they could have a horrible night's sleep. And they could maybe have a bad day of eating the day before, or whatever it is. But they'll wake up in the morning and they love the community connections and friends that are there. So they don't go necessarily because they are tired, they are worn out. Exercise seems crazy to them right now, but they want that social. They want to be able to feel connected. Maybe there's a friend there that they could maybe complain about their night to. Whatever that is, they go for that, and the exercise, the movement is the byproduct of that. So you have to find that. And so often people will be like, well, I haven't found anything that I love. Okay, well, have you tried everything?
Right, keep looking. That's it, because that's an excuse my brain is trying, or if my brain can hook me to the I haven't found anything yet story, then I'm done. Then I don't have to keep looking.
If you hate running and you love walking, walk.
I know. I did some hiking in Tahoe last weekend, and I've always been the guy that if I'm going to be out in the mountains or whatever, then it's going to be I want to run. And we hiked, and I thought, oh, I've been missing this.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
Yeah.
All right, we said we would go 35 minutes. We're at 55.
Oh,
Elizabeth, we could talk all day. No, we did great. This was I'm so glad that you came on, and this was everything I hoped it would be and more. Where do people find you? What do you have coming up?
They can find me on Instagram, Facebook. Instagram is eat.squat.mom. Website eSquatMom, and then Facebook is eSquatMom. But I do have an awesome challenge that I'm hosting for free. It's a 5-day challenge. It is called Thriving Through the Holidays. There are so many holidays that I lived in fear of food and everything and the weight gain, and I have put together so many tools and researches, and you will come away with an action plan for yourself that is going to help you eliminate the stress, the overwhelm, all of those things that you feel around the holidays, and have you have the best holiday season
when's
of your
that
life.
coming up?
So that will start October 21st.
Okay,
you can go to my link in my profile, or I'll send you the link that you can put in the show notes. They can register now for it, and then come October 21st, that's when it starts. It's just 5 days. It's just an email series, and they will do that. We can connect on our Facebook private Facebook page. But it's going to be amazing. It's jam-packed. Like, all the stuff that I'm giving you guys, like, you just don't want to miss it.
Good. And okay, help me do the math. We're going to release this on Monday then. So let's say 9, 10, 11, 12. So you're going to get this like the 13th or 14th. So you got a week. So
So we'll have plenty of time to just sign up. And then, it'll start October 21st.
I was thinking about this morning, and maybe I can edit this part out for me too, but super sneak preview. But down the road, big things ahead.
Big things ahead.
For the two of us, right?
For the two of us, right?
Can't wait. Teaser.
If you love Tony and I together.
That's right.
Just
Big
wait.
Stuff.
Just wait.
Big stuff. Yeah. And I also want to end with, I like that my wife enjoys you more than she enjoys me. And so the fact that you said earlier that get our spouses on, that the only way I think that Wendy would ever do it is if you told her to. So that's something for another day.
Think it's feelings are mutual for the spouses.
All right. Okay, Elizabeth, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time on the virtual couch.
Sounds good.
Okay, that was good. All right, let me stop it.